Alright, it's time for a tangent video, a kind of angry one in response to the weird shit I got from yesterday's video. And again, you might hear sounds because, again, a pool party outside. There's trains going everywhere. My neighbors are making noise. Whatever, it's a tangent. There's not a lot of voice control right now. Anyways, the reason of this video is because yesterday my video just had some of the most infuriating comments I had ever received in any video before. People were getting angry that I was suggesting Lee Sin to anyone. Players should learn Lee Sin for a multitude of reasons. One, he's a mechanically intensive champion. I shouldn't teach players or tell players to pick someone who's mechanically intensive. Second, that he's a shit champion. That's new to me. That Lee Sin is somehow garbage tier champion. And three, this one's actually true, that I ruin their games now because people are going to play Lee Sin and they're going to feed. That's a pretty selfish thing and a pretty asshole thing. And the thing is, this was very upsetting because it seems people forgot what my channel was built upon, what my channel is all about. It's about getting better. It's about learning. It's about educating yourself. Look at how I've tried to teach people. I've always tried to be a channel that focuses on self-improvement. I've never been, do this exactly and you win. Don't do anything else. This is exactly what you got to do. None of that. I always try to point out things that you do to teach yourself. Consider this. Here are your options. Think about these things. In every team battle, if something big happens, they'll say, look at the situation, or pay attention to the movements in the minimap. Look what I'm doing. Rewind to see exactly how I reacted to this. All of it is for people just to look at it and sort of formulate their ideas, see what I'm doing, and maybe they can just naturally pick up on why certain things happened. Think of it this way. Look at my Jungle Clear videos. There's no commentary on them. It's just me doing that with a music in the background. It's because I assume the people watching me know what's going on. They can see what's going on. They can see how I ordered things, why I might do certain things. My video is built upon self-improvement. People are bad. Everyone started terribly, and we all learned at our different rates. But the thing is, everyone has the potential to learn. Everyone has the potential to get better. So the low level players, or the bronze, the silver, yeah, they suck. They definitely suck. But there's a big distinction between lowbies and newbies. You can use whatever words you want, noobs, newbie, or whatever. I don't give a shit. But the point is, a lowbie is a person who's played 500, 1,000, 2,000 games of League of Legends and they're still in bronze or silver. They're veterans, bad veterans, but they're veterans. And a newbie's a fresh face, greenhorn. He's just barely playing League of Legends. To a newbie, I will never suggest someone like Lee Sin, but a lowbie, they might have the mechanics, they might have some knowledge, but their execution is terrible or their understanding of it is bad. And that's always been one of my biggest gripes about anything, where players will look at the highest level of league, or the golden gods of League of Legends, essentially. They'll look at PewDiePie and whatnot, and they'll look at him and go, oh my god, he's really good. I'm going to copy exactly what he does. But they never understand why PewDiePie does that thing. So unless they fail, they go into a rut and they become worse because of it, because they're learning improperly. They're not learning step by steps. They're not teaching themselves to learn either. And that's one of the biggest things that's always been shocking to me. It's sort of been frowned upon right now for people to study, people to say, you know what? I'm terrible. I want to get better. I want to suffer. Suffering is just seen as, bad. Like, suffering is good. Hatred of being bad can make you a little bit better too. And that's the thing. Like, I try to encourage people to try things because at this point, when they're lowbies, they kind of have nowhere else to go but up, right? They'll try Lee Sin in normals. They'll emulate him. They'll practice them, and if they fail, they can just try again until they get it down. People need to understand that. Yeah, you suggesting Lee Sin to a player doesn't mean that I'm going to assume they're going to pick them up and learn it right away. They're going to practice it and maybe learn other shit. And that's why introducing high mechanics champions isn't exactly the worst thing ever. Plus, and you have to understand, in lobby world, gold and silver, you can get away with not having the best, most amazing flashy plays at Lee Sin. Hell, in the background, I'm gonna likely put a low level Lee Sin game from years ago, where I'm still a bad Lee Sin player. If you saw the game yesterday, I couldn't do the instant combo to save my goddamn life. But because I understood what I'm going to do, decision making and whatnot, I was able to crush people. So just basic ass shit as Lee Sin, like aiming your Q and just knowing, understanding how to move around the map, that alone can help you crush players. So you got to remember there's a distinction between amazingly god level of gameplay and one that's actually needed and everything else. Anyways, that's just like some dryer or something in the background. Just ignore it for the while it's on. Anyways, Lee Sin also being called a bad champion is new to me, and it's mostly only happening because he's not being played in competitive right now, I gotta assume. Yeah, his win rate's low, but it's always been low, even when he's godlike. So that's just kind of dumb. Yeah, everyone's like, oh, he's out of meta. Well, you know what? Meta doesn't really matter in lower divisions, let alone ranked. No one gives a shit about meta. That's why they play whoever the hell they want and win. Technically, Yasuo is in meta and competitive, and yet he still played. And Fizz as well. Well, Fizz is sort of being on and off. Either way, my point is the community hurts itself when it doesn't encourage other players to learn, practice, suffer, and get better. The fuck happened where just players are like, you have to get good immediately. If you aren't automatically a master player, you're garbage. Hell, someone in my comments in the last video actually said, I don't want players to be practicing Lee Sin in normals. Where the fuck else are they going to practice it? AI is stupid. They can't learn anything from there. It's just bizarre. Bizarre that players don't want others to get any better. And I also got to mention this is one of the most important things. Some players will say, oh, you'll have more success with a simple mechanics champion. Sure you would. But like I already mentioned earlier, they probably already tried that and failed because they couldn't get anywhere. Because against other low-B opponents, they know what the basic champions do. They know what Volibear and Xin Zhao do, just run up to you and try to maul you. But they don't know how to handle something as complex as control jungling, something as brutal as momentum-based counter ganking. That kind of shit, if you learn it, you master it, you practice it, you can get just absolutely wreck people and just bulldoze through the lower divisions. It takes practice and it takes suffering, but you know, if you do it, you will get rewarded eventually. And that brings me up to some people that I actually I feel happy just knowing that they did certain things. 3 people, Jibe, Lily Pichu, and Natsume. It's a fun story actually with them too. As you guys saw, GB finally finished his road to Diamond, and I would constantly badger him, hey, you want to dual Q? I'm bored as shit. And he would say, no, I gotta do this because people keep saying I get dual queued and carried. And I understand it because people are assholes. He's someone who wants to be educational. He's someone who wants to be insightful. But because he doesn't have a higher elo tag, everyone's just bashing him down and saying, oh, I discredited you because you're a diss or whatever. And I assume it made him angry. Like, even though if he wouldn't really vocalize it, I'm going to assume it made him angry. So he wanted to just prove people wrong. He's like, you know what? I'll show you guys. I'll put my money where my mouth is. And I was applauding him when he was doing that. I watched his stream when he was trying to win. Of course, watching him play Aurelia too many goddamn times was a little bit of a grind fest, but still. And it brings me up to the 2 other people. Natsume had the same shit. I'm not gonna say she was bad from the get-go because she was one of the other YouTubers that I figured was pretty good prior to her little quest to Angry Quest. But I'm assuming because she liked dual queue and people would insult her for dual queuing, she was like, you know, this time I hate all you motherfuckers. I'm gonna show you guys I can carry myself. Right now I think she's Diamond too. And she fucking carried herself playing shit like Vel'Koz. It's just, I'm assuming she got angry and hateful at every stupid thing people said and she wanted to prove them wrong. She let hatred and suffering by herself pretty much fuel her rage. And same thing happened with Lily Peach, and I thought hers was just a bit more impressive as well. Just because she was knowingly pretty bad when we started playing. And I think she deflected a lot of the comments people would say on stream, where she would try to brush them off and people would defend her against it. But then she would ask me and Jummichu, say, you know, like, she hates being bad. That she hated being bad and she wanted advice, and we just straight out, you know what, you play like a pussy. You got to get braver. You got to do this, whatever. And she started doing that. She started learning by watching us play. She started seeing what kind of movements we do. We started expecting her to do things, and she fulfilled them. And she won as a result, and she started getting better. And now she's far, far better than she was before. I really like telling that story because it showcases that if a person really wants to practice and try hard and is actively paying attention and isn't trying to say, oh, I didn't get better immediately, this champion must suck, oh, I'm not bad, I'm just suffering through this other shit. then they deserve to suck. These three people, I enjoy their little stories and I enjoyed watching them, get better or succeed in how they did because they didn't accept the fact that they didn't accept the shitty state they were in. They set out to pretty much prove it that they could get better, that they were better, and whatnot. And that's why I staunchly believe that no one stays bad. They only because they want. No one stays bad because they have no choice. They stay bad because they want to stay bad. If a person is in silver and they become complacent, like, oh, I'm bad because I get shitty teammates or something like that. Well, it might also be because you don't try to get better. You don't practice. You don't try to teach yourself anything. You just assume you know everything. Then yeah, go fuck yourself, essentially. But there's players out there who just seemingly don't know how to practice, don't know how to get better. Someone has to teach it to them. They want to get better, they just don't know how. That brings me up to another little story I have for you. It's from middle school. When I was doing speech class, I had such a fucking issue learning how to, memorize the speeches. However, I was good at writing out things very fast and quickly and sort of just writing out the next word that I needed to. So I learned how to. I learned speech. I learned the speeches that I need to do by taking out a piece of paper and copying it by hand over and over. And then going back and deleting a bunch of lines, storing it away, and then just constantly filling it out again and again. And then taking out the ones with all the deleted lines and filling them out as I read them by. Eventually, I could write out the entire speech by hand. And by doing that, I was able to memorize it in my head as I was writing it out, so to speak. So when it came time to do the speeches, I nailed that shit. It was very tedious for sure. And my God, did I hate writing it out after a while. But that's the method I used to earn my grades in that class. And I did very well. One day, the teacher even saw me doing that. She thought I was cheating because we're supposed to write it out on the PC beforehand for some reason. I guess it's just, busy work. But I told her, no, I'm not cheating or anything. Look at this. Here's my computer written speech, and here's all the copies. This is what I do. And she's like, wow, that's actually very interesting. You know what? I'm going to tell this to a few other people because there was other students who apparently were really great students, but they just couldn't memorize shit either. She taught them what I did, and they got better. I had such like a little like happy ass moment that, oh my God, this makes me feel like it made my damn like month. Hell, it may have made my entire year when she told me those students are learning their speeches now. They're using your method and they finally can pick it up. They're so happy. And that's actually been one of the major things that has motivated me in my YouTubing. Just the whole idea that people can learn. They may just have not learned the right method to do so. Let players suffer. Let players figure it out themselves. Again, I just have to drill it into you guys. Everyone has the capability to learn. If they choose to take it, no matter what method, then that's fine. They'll get better. Don't look down on a person looking to get better, suffering and whatnot, and being patient about it. If they're an arrogant asshole who's playing mid Yasuo and won't admit their mistakes, that's one thing. But if they're a person in a normal game as Lee Sin, constantly trying just to get better and being humble about it, then that's something worth admiring. Someone who admits their own weaknesses and just wants to get better. There's nothing more, and something that fills me more with joy than that when it comes to YouTubing. I love the comments that go, oh, you helped me get better, or I've been practicing this, or whatever. I love those. But yesterday's comments, some people were just filled with so many derogatory things, saying that I shouldn't help low B players get better, or that telling them, to try out someone advanced. It was disheartening. And I'm just hoping that you guys understand or remember, this is supposed to be an educational channel. These videos are supposed to be educational. They're to encourage those players who are just suffering, who just don't know how to get better, to get better. It encourages free thinking. It encourages, self-educating. Just let people do these kinds of things. And and I just gotta drill that point home. A mechanically intensive champion is a better teacher than someone you can just mash a few buttons and win. When they get into higher divisions, if they just get into higher divisions playing only the ham nugget champions, they're never going to get better. They need to learn. They need to be willing to sort of branch out. Anyways, I hope that clears up a few things. It's been bothering me all day yesterday. And I know, very disorganized, but those are how tangents are. They're mostly just rants, and all I have is like a bullet point to my side, and I rant about anything, just the things that were bothering me, essentially. Either way, I hope you have a good remainder of your weekend. Hooray.